Hey. So I'm honestly at a bit of a loss as to what I can even do at this point, so I am just going to say this here. As of today, February 27th, 2026, I was suspended from my job pending further investigation for attendance-related reasons. And I just want to start by getting this out of the way, that it is a lot more complicated than what one person might first start to believe. Far more complicated and runs a lot deeper than just a simple attendance issue at work, and I would like to clarify a few things to begin with. For one, no, this is not some sort of weird video for me to cry for help and beg the internet for money. I really am not in a position where I need that, nor am I in a position where I would want to accept help from anybody. Secondly, I would like to put out there that these are all my opinions, and this is very unscripted. I'm normally a lot more forward thinking and thorough in what I decide to put out on the internet, but for the purposes of a video like this, I would like to just be as raw and as honest as I can be with you. So this all started back in, I believe it was July of last year, 2025. Now, back in July, me and a friend of mine, whom I will be keeping anonymous for the purposes of this video as to protect their identity, we were getting very close, and I saw that there were signs that this person had interactions, or rather, had romantic feelings towards me. So I decided that I was going to confess to this person, and I'm going to admit, this confession is probably the cringiest thing on the planet that you have ever seen. Even me reading this back is it's bad. Not weird bad, but just bro, what was I doing? It was a long-winded paragraph, I'm sure I'll put it up on screen somewhere right now, of me basically just going into detail about how I have feelings for this person, XYZ, and, that was basically that. And this was sort of the inciting instant, the genesis, if you will, of where this conflict all started. Now, for context, right, I was working on a project. Again, I will be keeping this project anonymous as I do not want to associate myself nor involve any parties involved in this workspace that I need to say, but I'm just going to throw this out here. I was working on a Roblox game. It's not glamorous, I know. I was officially brought on as a bug tester, but I was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, not necessarily programming, but more so designing, writing, obviously bug testing, as I said, and it was more so of a formal title. It is worth noting that I did not sign any contracts, nor was I legally obligated to do any of this work, but it is still worth mentioning the altercation. Now, me and one of the community managers for this project had a bit of a rocky history, a bit of a, disagreement on how things should be run behind the scenes. This person was more focused on profit and, how they could maximize the amount of revenue. With me being the person I am, innocent, naive little boy, I thought that I wanted to try change things in a way that I thought would be better for the community as a whole. And we're just going to call this person Sam. Now, Sam was another person who was working on the game with me. They were specifically one of the game moderators who made sure that the game, ran smoothly, there were no bad actors, they would handle tickets and whatnot when it came into the game. And this person, there was some stuff brewing behind the scenes. Now, Sam and this community manager were, they were not very well liked, okay? It was unbeknownst to me at the time, but this individual had people just relaying information about things that happened in their own private calls with their friends, just being relayed out to the world. And this person was removed on March 31st of 2025, when the game had received its first major update in well over a year at that point. Now, when the update was about to drop, me, Sam, a bunch of the other workers, and the community managers were all in a call hyping it up. There had just been a big trailer that had dropped. Everybody was super hyped. Everybody was really getting on the whole bandwagon of things are about to go crazy. We're all about to, play this new update. It's all about to be a great time. We spent so much time working on it. I, myself in particular, was probably like the most adamant in making sure that all of the bugs were found. I have the document right here, and I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure I was credited for over 100 of the bugs that were found and resolved, while the second person, again, I'm going to keep them anonymous, had only roughly 40 to 50. So I definitely put in a lot of work when it came to making sure this update got out in time. Now, Sam was mysteriously just kicked out of the call with all of us, and, we thought that he had disconnected, we thought that he might have left or something. Eventually, one of the community managers is like, I'm sorry, I meant to disconnect them from the call. I clicked the kick button, and, it was a reasonable explanation at the time. I flash forward the next day to realize that Sam had been not banned, but they had been removed from the project for, not being a good influence on the community. I'm not sure what the official reasoning for it was. I still don't know to this day. There was a vague reason given, but even to this day, I still don't know the reason for removal, but it was around that time when Sam and I had a conversation the next day. This is March 1st. We had a conversation in regards to, the state of the game in general, and I was warned at this time that I might be next. Like, Sam did believe that the next person to go would be me, and I, being the sort of vindictive justice guy, I wanted to, make sure that not only would that not happen to me, but I could get justice for this individual. Flash forward to July, and as I had stated before the start of the video, I ended up confessing my feelings to this person. And, well, they did decline. I have to admit, I was probably a bit more pushy with the confession than I should have been. It's worth noting this is like first time ever really confessing my feelings to somebody in general, so the way I went about doing it, I would not do as it was today, but I want to make it abundantly clear there was no malice, there was no ill intent, and there was certainly none of the funny stuff that they tried to claim here very shortly. So, after I had confessed, they said no, they said that they had a boyfriend. It was like, okay, whatever, right, moving on. I come to find out that this person is 20, and this individual is 17. Now, 3-year age gap, it's a little weird, right, but at the end of the day, if it's consensual, I really can't be one to judge for that, because, yeah, it's still weird, but it's not technically to the point to where it would be illegal. So, really, all I could do is just kind of have my discerns and, sort of wonder what was going on. Now, if it was just the age gap, I wouldn't have went forward with what I did next. I come to find out that this person is apparently a firefighter. They are in a bunch of condo servers. They played Public Bathroom Simulator on Roblox a lot, which if you know anything about that game, it is, not exactly the most PG game on the platform. It was actually removed following a big controversy with child safety on Roblox, but that's a whole rabbit hole in and of itself that I do not want to get into in this video. So, I naturally start worrying for his safety. I then go to press him about the issue and kind of bring up, the age gap, what I thought was weird at the time. And he did not take this the best. He thought that, I was, concerned. Why did you ask this question? It's legal. I made sure of it. XYZ. Again, nothing really, too crazy out of the ordinary yet happened, right? Then, flash forward a little bit, and I keep pressing this person, because this person had been acting out of character for quite a while at this point, and I ended up, talking to him, and it's like, yo, dude, are you okay? And he says, stop talking to me, leave me alone, XYZ, which again was out of character for them at the time, and I kept pressing, and they blocked me on all platforms, out of nowhere. They had never done anything like this before. And I go to check their bio, and then it says that, quote, my husband, whatnot, XYZ, okay? Now, rationally, if, in retrospect, looking back on this was, they obviously had not gotten married, alright? But I needed to, I was scared. I was horrified at this point because, in my head, this person who I had just confessed to not too long ago, right, was apparently in a relationship at the time. I didn't know about it, okay? They were now supposedly getting married in my head. They had just cut me off on all platforms whatsoever, and I was scared. I started calling everybody I knew. I called all my friends, my whole family, whatnot. It was bad, and I had then decided to make a very fatal mistake on my end. I reached out to the community manager, the same community manager that did not like me. Now, I never like to talk to this person about anything, because this person did not like me. And they had already said some, things in the past that had concerned me about, what would happen if I talked to them, but I figured, you know what? I'm not sure if this person's okay. It's worth the risk. Can you please go talk to them? And so they did, right? And then they said, you're obviously, this person isn't in love with me, whatnot. I get the message back, and they said, he's a lost cause, you gotta leave him alone. And I said I wasn't gonna stop trying, and then I'm banned 30 minutes later. Now, at this point, I was super fucking confused. My mind had initially settled on, maybe it was the fact that I did upset this person and overstepped, and, this person felt betrayed, and as a result of that, I was removed from the team, right? It doesn't make much sense, but there's kind of a rationalization there, and I was far too concerned about, at the time, thinking I had lost one of my closest friends that I had known for a year at this point, right? To this. And that whole night, I cried, I called people in my family, people in my support system, and that was that, Then a couple days go by, and one of the other people that, didn't really like me actually ended up kind of alluding towards some nefarious shenanigans. So I end up confronting this individual, trying to figure out, what exactly was going on. And they were vague. They were very, very vague about things. I, again, said what I thought was happening at the time. I was like, hey, I think that I had warned this person. They had gotten upset. I need help, right? And after that, I kind of decided to go confront the person who had banned me. Because, by the way, when they banned me, they just completely blocked me. As if they didn't really want me to, reach out to them and discuss the terms of why I was banned. Okay? Again, this was making money for me at the time. I had made around 50,000 Robux from, the previous update that had came out back in March, alright? I was promised by the owner of the game, the person who did the payroll, and still does to this day, as a matter of fact, I believe. I was promised, roughly, in quote, his own words, 1/3 of a million Robux, alright? That is, rounded up, 350,000. So naturally, I wanted closure. I wanted to confront this person, and they were so defensive immediately. They were like, yeah, I'm the one that banned you. You're being weird, X, Y, Z, right? Because I was still confronting them with the same evidence that I told everybody else, and the reason why I thought it was is over the altercation. And he said, yeah, no, I didn't agree with it. I did reach out to him. And then, after a little bit, I still have these words ingrained into my brain to this day. And I quote, right, "You were so worried about somebody being groomed that you ended up becoming a groomer yourself." Okay? Now, I just want to lay this out, alright? I, at the time, was 19. This individual was 17. That is a 2-year age gap. I feel like I don't even need to explain how that is not predatory, alright? But, because this guy is probably watching the video, I'm going to anyways, okay? It's a 2-year age gap, right? I never, and this is one of the things that I need to talk about right now, I don't understand how the fuck this person got it through his head. It's like, you know what? This is my chance. 2-year age gap. Let's frame him as a pedophile. And oh boy, I was not ready for what was about to happen next, right? So I reach out to the owner, right? I kind of double ping him, a couple days go by, explain the situation, and then, eventually owner of the game comes back, and he's like, hey, so was there anything happening? Was there any nudes? XYZ. asked me to state ages. I said 1917. Owner said that, nah, this person is tripping, and unbanned me, had a talk, and bro immediately folded. Bro was like, yeah, I guess it's not weird, right? You know, you're right, yeah. And that I thought that was the end of it. I thought I had beaten it. Oh boy, I did not have any idea the amount of fucking hell that one decision to unban myself was about to bring me. Okay? Couple weeks go by, and then a Google document drops, right? And when I say Google document, I don't mean like a Google document. I mean that this fuck-ass CM, both of them, decided to go to their private Discord server with like maybe 5 people from the community, made a thread, a private thread called Exposing Trilad, and posted like 10 out of context screenshots with like, it's saying, you know, this person is turning 20 soon, and you know, this person like had these conversations with a 17-year-old, and I think it's weird. Okay, I want to make it abundantly clear, I still did not turn 20 for another 6 to 7 months at the time this incident went down, and this is one of the first of many cases of them just deciding to fucking exaggerate the details to make it look as bad as possible. And, you know, naturally, when I see this, I'm like, okay, this is serious now. So I, you know, do what any rational person would do in that situation, and I start talking to people. I start looking through DMs, start trying to find this, you know, and eventually one of the people does manage to actually send me the screenshots. And I'm like, no fucking way. So what I'm guessing happened is that this person had ended up reaching out to this individual to get the screenshots of the conversation from him, and just decided to post them, not like publicly to try to protect the community or expose anybody. No, it was just they wanted to do the bare fucking minimum that was required in order to get me off the project, okay? And when I say this was reaching, I mean there is like, I'm basically the only one talking. There's no evidence, there is no testimony, there is no, you know, this person even remotely saying that they thought I was a groomer or that they thought I was doing a bad thing. No, you want to know? Like, the worst fucking thing that I said in there was like, I asked maybe one too many times, okay? That was my worst sin. And they decided, these absolute fucking Neanderthals decided that, what do I do? Let me just fucking, I don't even know. They're just like, let's release this, and it somehow worked, right? The community immediately was like, alright, this person is a pedophile, you know, more Pegasus thumbnail, whatnot, start raining up the curtains, whatever, okay? I am beyond pissed at this point. And they kept pinging me in the server. They kept saying, why do you like kids? Why do you like touching minors? You're Diddy, worse than Epstein, right? And then after a while, I got so fucking pissed that I snapped at these motherfuckers, alright? I went in and I posted their entire fucking private thread backdoor leak document they only showed to their friends. It wasn't even a document, by the way. Like I said, they didn't even post a document. They just posted screenshots in a Discord thread. And that was, nobody had seen it, right? Nobody knew what was said, okay? They were just operating under the assumption that, well, these people are the bosses, so they must be right, okay? And, you know, they just decide, I drop it there, okay? And then the person that was making fun of me and everybody just went dead silent, okay? And I went to reach out to the owner of the game again, right? Because he told me that if anything was to happen again, they would be addressed. So I did. Okay. And guess what happened? They fucking banned me. If, like, the 15 to 30 minutes after I post my response discrediting your statements, I am then banned from your fucking server, and all the messages are deleted, and now the fucking owner says, you know, in the most PR way possible, right, I am getting rid of you because this looks bad on me, and I don't want to, you know, deal with it anymore. valid, okay? You don't want to bring bad business in. I get it. You get rid of me. And I just said, are you getting paid? Am I still going to get paid for it? Yeah, $350,000? And he said, yes. Okay. And I'm going to be honest. After this, my mental just took a horrible toll down into the shitter. I was distant. I was absent. I was lazy. I was depressed. And I'm going to be honest, it was a downward spiral from, I'd say, August to November, where I couldn't show up to work on time anymore. I don't even know if I'm going to go back to work or not, right? I've been working there for 4 years at this point, all right? Model employee, almost no bad will to my name. Everybody loved me. And then I just can't show up to work anymore. I can't start working on my passions anymore. I can't start working on my projects, and the projects that I did want to work on, well, I can't do that anymore because the money that I was going to be getting from working on this game, all right, was going to go into funding some of my bigger projects. As a matter of fact, the footage you are watching right now in the background is from one of my upcoming projects, that I'm working on. I wanted to sort of revive my dead YouTube channel from way back in the day and start sharing and creating stuff with people again so they can see this. Concept's pretty fun. You got me and 4 of my friends get trapped in a weird old school legacy Minecraft world for 2 weeks, and we want to see if they can outlive the 2-week Minecraft phase, and we want to discover what makes a Minecraft world last forever. But I can't do it because I don't have the money. I mean, I can do it, but it's not going to be as good. It's going to take much longer, and it's going to be much more stressful knowing that I have to take time away from this to dedicate this project, which I can't be because now I have to work on a fucking counter Google document to go up against you because I have to try to, because I was pretty sure that if I didn't do something, this was just going to continue to get worse. Oh, when it did, they had moles in my server. They were somehow getting a hold of every single message that I said, every single conversation that I had with any person. As a matter of fact, right before I was banned, I went to play this game, and they had one of their fucking mods cloaked watching me, screenshotting my messages to then send in the fucking general chat, because that's normal, right? That's what we do, could be another coincidence, I don't know, I'm not an expert, I don't know what's going through these people's heads, but, that just happens, and now, it gets to the point to where I go home for Thanksgiving, my relationship with my family is not great, right, and so I just crash, I'm not able to do my job anymore, alright, I am too bent up trying to prove to the world that I'm not a fucking pedophile. As again, it might seem inconsequential that some people online want to say that you're this horrible thing, but when you pour all of this work, all of this love, and all of this effort into creating something you truly care about, and they're just like, actually, you're this horrible person when you yourself know it's not true, but you can't prove any of it because you're physically not allowed to prove it, it just becomes agonizing. And the bit of a trigger warning, if you are at all concerned or scared about whatever is happening, I recommend skipping forward to the timestamp listed on the screen. But I tried to take my life that night. All right. I had a knife up to my arm. Right. I was caressing it. I was building up the courage to actually make the incision and kill myself. And I get a call from my employer who I'd been having issues with this time, and they ask, are you okay? What's happening? Because it's an hour and a half into my shift at this point, I hadn't showed up. And I said, I have a knife to my arm. I want to kill myself. And I got, they asked to confirm, what's going to happen. I did. I confirmed. They sent, 5 cops over, and they escorted me down to the hospital. And I stayed overnight for 24 hours, and I came out, and it was never really the same from there. I kept spiraling deeper and deeper into depression, and that was basically the end of it. My attendance had started slipping. I had missed 3 days of work without saying anything. They overlooked one. They suspended me. They put me on a leave to try to deal with everything. And after that, came back from the leave. I had a doctor's appointment. I didn't call until halfway through the shift. I had it in my head that I had a doctor's note, right? So as long as I had a doctor's note, they can't do anything. But I didn't read the fine print. And because I didn't, I ended up, as of today, losing my job. It might not be permanent. It might come back at this point, but even if it does, right, with this whole situation still on the back of my mind, it makes it almost impossible for me to do my job. It has been eating away at my conscience for God knows how long. And, let me just reposition my mic real quick, right? It has been the most stressful 6 months of my life, right? I have lived through beatings from my mother, right? I have lived through massive issues. I had to teach myself high school because I was put into school for people with really bad autism, which, again, nothing wrong with it. It's a mental disorder, right? But you can't do much about it. And I thought, maybe for a brief little while that I had finally gotten over the worst part of my life. And this happens. And the part that sucks the most about it is that there is nothing I can do. I know what happened. I know there was no weird shit happening behind the scenes. I know the age gap was fine. Again, 19 and 17. I need to make that in bold text on the screen for somebody from the project that comes on and tries to post this as me, fucking, I don't know, crying for help or something. But the truth of the matter is that I don't know what to do. All right? If you can lay out all of this evidence in front of people, if you can go to their face and you can provide them the evidence, provide them with the facts, and they just don't care. Because no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I might want to prove my innocence, if I can't even get the facts through, what am I supposed to do? All right? Listen, it's just a Roblox game at the end of the day, and I get that. I get that it's not very consequential in the grand scheme of things, but it hurts, all right? To be accused of one of the worst things that a human could possibly do, trying to have intercourse with a child, right? Trying to do that, okay? And you not being able to do anything about it simply because the other person has more power than you has to be poetic. I mean, for fuck's sake. I have a fucking picture of the same guy who was going out and starting all this shit to begin with. Literally making jokes about cheese pizza in his server full of minors. And nobody cared. And the worst part about all of this is that the person in question, the quote-unquote victim, and I are still friends. Literally, last week, we filmed a live stream where I was going to do Ring 1 Tower Rush and Eternal Towers of Hell in Roblox, okay? It was fun. We had a good time. We were getting along, we were laughing, we were making jokes and whatnot, publicly, mind you, in front of people, and it's so unfair to, be in this position. And I don't know what to do anymore. I don't really have any recourse that I can take against this individual. I don't really have any sort of path forward from here. I mean, I've got to go to workers' union court tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but, I've got to, start the process of it. And pray to God that I can get my job back, and pray to God that when I do go back, if I go back, that I can somehow make it through all of this shit and become a better person or something. I don't know. I want to, end this off on something motivational, but I can't because life is unfair. Life doesn't want you to succeed. Life wants you to be kicked down on your knees, screaming and crying and just suffering. As I have gotten older, as I have, progressed throughout the years, I have learned that the world just sucks and people want to hate you for no other reason than you just being a person. It is wicked. It is probably one of the worst things that I will, ever experience. I don't know if something will top this. I really don't. It feels like I'm just being beaten senseless by the world, and I don't know what to do. Even if this all does resolve itself, okay, that's still a permanent stain that is going to follow me for the rest of my life. The damage is already done at this point. If I want to, pursue game development, everybody knows everybody, right? If I try to get into that industry, sooner or later, somebody is going to, be notified of that, and then who knows what's going to happen. This is something you want to address right away, but you can't because they don't let you. So what do? You have to set on it. And, I don't know, who knows? Maybe this next fucking Minecraft video will explode and I'll become the next Mr. Beast, alright? But then, knowing that, sooner or later, somebody is going to say something about this shit, and then I'm going to have to deal with it then, alright? It's I am stuck between a rock and a hard place. All of the facts are being tangled and twisted and distorted as I speak. I checked it a few days ago, and now the story is I was 20, he was 16, and I tried to make him have sex or something. I don't fucking know anymore. And it was just so far disconnected from the original story. A confession, and that's basically it. And what else can I do? Except for just pray. I don't know at this point. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that sometimes your best isn't good enough, and you have to learn when to give up on things, This was such a big opportunity for me. It might sound shallow, you fucking bug tested for a Roblox game, but it was something. After years of sustained abuse, I finally had a purpose. And to have that all just ripped away from me because some fucking bastard wanted to make a fool out of me and take the fall for his own shitty behaviors that he doesn't want to address, it sucks. And I do have a message for you as well, because yes, Augie, I know you're watching this, okay? You are the most vile piece of shit I have ever met in my life. And that is saying something, because I have seen the worst of the fucking worst. I have lived through the worst of the worst, okay? My mother was a horrible person, but even she, for all of her faults, had a reason. You don't. You just do this for the sport. This is all a game to you. Our lives mean nothing to you. You get paid $1,000 a month, or at least used to. 100,000 Robux, $1,000 a month. I'm not going by DevX rates. I'm going by how much money it costs to buy this shit. You are getting paid $1,000 a month to look at a Discord chat. And it's not enough for you. You want to take me down because you don't like me. It's pathetic. Your ego is the size of a fucking mountain. You don't know when to quit. You think that you can just ruin anybody's lives, that you can do this with me, or with Sam, or whoever the fucking hell else you want to, and that there will never, ever be any consequence for your actions. And maybe you're right. Maybe you will never face any justice for the actions, the people that you have hurt, the lives that you have irreversibly damaged. Maybe you'll never face any consequences for that. I mean, hell, if there's one thing I know about America, it's that if you have enough money, you just don't have to fucking do shit. Okay? But one thing I do know is that you are scum. And I want you to think about that. I want that to ruminate in your mind. I want you to go to sleep at night, and I want you to be reminded of the despicable piece of shit that you are. I want you to be reminded of all of the people that you've hurt. Me, Sam, all of these other people. There's a couple other people that I don't want to mention because they're not relevant to the story, but you've heard them too. And you know who I'm talking about. And if there is one thing, for once in your life, listen to me and make a change before it is too late. You have done some wild shit that I have seen. And I am not going to, go out there and air this out because I don't want to start drama. Okay? This is the bookend. This is for me to get closure with the situation in my life and forget it ever happened. Or at least try to move on with my life. So I am not going to get drama. But this is from your former friend, Aki. Okay? Stop this shit before it is too late. Because one day, you will live to regret it. And nobody will be in your corner when that happens. And as for me, well, I don't know. I lost my job to false allegations. I lost everything. I lost friends. I lost, connections. Relationships are tarnished, damaged. I lost so much money. And there's no getting it back. So, yeah, if you enjoyed my fucking rant, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can fucking inflate my ego or something. I don't fucking know. So tasteless joke. This rant has gone on for long enough. It's 2 a.m. I need to go to bed.